Hey everyone, it's Craig from Flying Wheels. Welcome to my Flying Wheels YouTube channel. If you guys follow me already, you know the game. What am I driving today? Not a car, just kidding. I can't resist these silly scooters. I'm driving around Washington, D.C. on these scooters all week long. With the NIADA, they're not driving the scooters, I am. I'm here with the NIADA, the National Independent Automotive Dealers Association, all week in DC lobbying with Congress. There are very specific reasons that we as an association are here, and it's not just for dealers. So if you're a consumer too, hang tight, listen to this video because it helps you and it helps us as auto dealers. So the National Independent Automotive Dealers Association is an association of used car dealers, not the franchise car dealers, not the new car dealers. There's a few very specific items that we have on the list that we're trying to fight for and for against. So the NIADA invited me out here to discuss these topics with the congressman and also let you guys in on what's going on in our industry. So I'm going to get my fancy notebook here. I am fortunate enough to say, I'm going to say thank you to Steve if you're watching this, and everybody else part of the NIADA that invited me out and actually invited me to be part of Group 1 today. So I was part of the Group 2 that was going to meet with some congressmen. Well, Group 1, the CEO, the treasurer, just all the bigwigs and the president and all the bigwigs really took their time to really care that I had something to say and also invite me to come with them. So thank you for the hospitality. I really appreciate it. Behind me, you'll see the Capitol building. We were there all day. Actually, we were running around between building and building and building and building all day in 90-degree weather in suits. So, a little hot, little hot. All right, I'm going to discuss the reasons we are here, and then I'm going to take you with me today to show you the experience and what it was like being part of the association. If you guys are dealers, join your association, your state association. Come to this stuff. It's fun. You get to meet people. You get to go out and socialize, see what everybody else is doing in their business, and no one's afraid to talk about what's working for them. So you get to grow your business from learning everybody else's secrets that you never normally talk about at the auction or with other dealers. So I've learned a ton by just socializing with the people that are bigger than I am. So thank you to everybody that told me what's working for them, and I did the same for myself. So a couple things. The first one is recalls. So there is a bill trying to be passed that is going to put a stop sale on all vehicles with a recall, an open recall. Now we're not talking about just like Takata airbag explosion recalls. We're talking about like misprints in an owner's manual. So how this is going to affect all of us as independent automotive dealers, and I'm going to tell you consumers how it affects you as well, is if there's an open recall on your lot, you're not going to be able to sell the vehicle until it's repaired. All right, so you'll get it repaired. Right, well, some haven't been manufactured. Some of these parts haven't been manufactured yet. Some of these parts are on back order. And really, where is the demand for you to get your service done at the dealer when the dealer's on top? Obviously, the franchise dealer wants to take care of themselves. Then it's the customer. Then it's the rental companies. Then it's you if the parts are still in stock. You are going to be flooded with cars in inventory on your lot that are not going to be able to be sold until they're repaired. Now, yes, we should do our due diligence in repairing these items, but some are not possible. And it's for silly things too. So everything, it's a very broad issue. It doesn't cover things in specifics. Yes, if it was Takata airbags, explosions, obviously they should be taken care of before a sale. But an owner's manual, a gas cap, an engine trim cover missing, all those things, mismatched paint from fender to door, those can be taken care of by the consumer at the dealer and be given a free rental while your car's waiting. So that is the first issue. Now, how does this affect the consumer? Well, it affects you as a consumer and your trade-in. So rather than me looking at your car and appraising it and evaluating it as a trade-in, the first thing I'm going to do as a dealer is look at it as a recall. If it has open recalls that are unavailable, your car is worthless because I can't sell it. So if I can't sell it, I can't offer you what it's worth. So you're going to get thousands and thousands of dollars less on your trade because of it. On the back end, we still have our overhead, we still have our costs to maintain. And now the supply is going to be really, really low at all dealerships, which means the demand is high and the supply is low. Our prices are unfortunately going to go up just because supply is so low. Number two, arbitration. They want to get rid of arbitration altogether. So all these giant dealers, if you have a lawsuit, they're going to want to have a class action suit against you without the right to arbitrate. Now, consumers, this is important to you because if you can't arbitrate, you're going to have a class action lawsuit. I'm going to give you the perfect example. I got a red letter from the class action suit suing Red Bull a few years ago. Well, yeah, I signed up for the class action lawsuit. I got 2 vouchers for 2 free Red Bulls. Okay? The attorney's got hundreds of millions of dollars. A dealer, a nationwide dealer, gave the perfect example today. One of his administrators, the administrative assistant, was mailing the documents after the sale to the customers days later. So rather than you as a consumer throwing your paperwork into your glove box and forgetting about it and ruining it, the administrative assistant thought it was a courtesy to mail you the paperwork after the purchase. Well, according to the Federal Trade Lending Act, you need to have all lending documentation in hand at the time of sale, at the time of close. So there was a class action lawsuit against him. The attorneys got $1.3 million. Every customer, since it's been happening, got a $500 voucher towards the next vehicle. So you might say the dealer's a bad guy for doing this. He still paid $1.3 million for this silly error, and the consumers got a $500 voucher off the next vehicle. So who's really winning when you can't arbitrate? Third, and I'm going to completely destroy this and say it wrong, but the idea is accurate. And this goes out to all of you consumers with low, no, and bad credit. So this is the Current Expected Credit Loss Act, CECIL they call it. Now, all buy here, pay here's and banking institutions are currently required to have a capital reserve, which means enough money to supplement their current bad debts. So you can average your bad debt, you know how much it's going to be from year to year based on years past, and you need to maintain a capital reserve money in the account for that amount. Well, if this passes CECIL, for the life of the loan, banks and banking industries, including the dealers that are buy here, pay here and financing their own customers out of pocket, are going to have to be holding 100% of the reserves. And for the life of that loan, the more cars you sell, the more capital is going to tie up. Now, this is going to affect you because you're not going to have the capital to finance, and it's going to affect the banks because they're not going to have the capital. That's going to be all tied up in reserves. They're not going to be lending as much, and it's going to affect the entire auto industry. So these are some of the things that the NIADA is looking out for both the dealerships and the consumers, because congressmen aren't thinking about us. Congressmen aren't thinking about you buying your cars. They're thinking about the whole big picture, and these small little articles aren't going to make a difference to them. So today, we're bringing it to their attention. So we've all heard about NAFTA. We've all heard that terrible word that nobody wants to hear, tariffs. So the USMCA is a ratified Fair Trade Act allowing fair trade amongst the 3 countries. So it's going to help everybody. So now, as a business owner, if you're a business owner, you know you've heard this. As a consumer, it affects you too. So tariffs, every time that word tariff is spoken in Congress or on the news, prices of metal go up. My brake parts go up. So let's just use brakes, for example. You need a brake job as a consumer. Well, when the word tariffs is spread out, cost of metal goes up, and then my vendor's parts prices go up, and then they are increased to me, so I'm paying more for those brake pads and rotors, which means I'm charging you as the consumer more for brake pads and rotors. It costs you more money. I make no more money. My vendor makes no more money. The manufacturer gets taxed on it at a higher rate. It affects us all. So what it is a renegotiation of NAFTA, which is the North American Free Trade Agreement. Well, USMCA focuses largely, I'm going to read this because I'm just going to absolutely destroy it if I don't, focuses largely on auto exports, steel incentives, more domestic production of cars and trucks. So if you've ever heard Trump say, more jobs, going to provide more jobs, more work in the country. It's going to bring more work to our country. It's going to lower prices for small businesses. Instead of those brake pads and rotors costing me billions, well, now it'll be peanuts. Cost me peanuts. Billions. It'll save us billions. It's going to be huge. So you might be saying to yourself, Craig, who are those guys behind you? Well, I'm going to tell you. I had the pleasure, the absolute pleasure, to be invited, bumped up to group number 1. There are 9 groups or 8 groups that are meeting all over Congress today. Well, group 1, the bigwigs, the CEOs, the important people, although we're all important people, these are the people that are meeting the most important people. They invited me to document the day and show you what they're doing on behalf of all of us as well as the consumer. Walking down the hall, we just entered through security, which was pretty strict. Nancy Pelosi's office. Crazy. So we just had our first meeting with a staffer for Nancy Pelosi. Actually ran into Nancy Pelosi twice, which was pretty amazing. I mean, some people might not appreciate that, some people do, but it's still pretty impressive that we, as an association, have the power to sit down in a room with someone like that. I mean, third in line in the entire country. It's pretty incredible. So we just met with a staff member for Republican Whip Steve Scalise, who sat down and listened to everything we had to say. If you know Steve Scalise, he was actually shot at a congressional baseball game a few years ago with his left hip, and still recovering. But they had time, and they were on our side for everything on the agenda. They spoke very highly of the arbitration policy, and were in favor of everything that we were as well. I'm not the only one that rides scooters in suits. Those guys are going back to back on one. Across the street at the House of Representatives. Ready for our next meeting? So the clocks have lights on them. And for what purpose?
Each of the lights symbolize some activity over on the floor. If it's one light, it indicates the House is in session. If it's 2 lights, there's a recorded vote in session. This indicates that there's a quorum call that's pending.
So during one of our meetings, the bell was going off for a while too, and that indicated a...
House was going in session.
Ah, thank you. It doesn't change at any age or gender. All meetings so far, successful. Now it's time for my favorite part of the day, lunch in the Kennedy caucus room with all the NIADA reps. So we've all been split up throughout the day. Now we're all going to regroup, have a nice lunch. I want to show you something incredible. Come follow me. NIAD Power Lunch. So I'm going to tell you, in the Kennedy caucus room, talk about government spending. Look at this. So lunch is provided for all of us, and it's courtesy of Carfax and AutoZone. So you'd think, oh, NIADA is just wasting money, spending money on all these events. They're not. Every event we've gone to, every dinner, last night's dinner at the top of the roof had a sponsor. Tonight's dinner has a sponsor. We're talking prime rib, salmon, broccoli, desserts. It's amazing. All covered by sponsors, so they're thinking outside the box and having the sponsors pay for it, cover it on their end, so we as dealers and the association's not. The access that we have is unbelievable. If you look behind me, you'll see all the media. So something's about to go on here. You can see everybody setting up behind me. We just keep going and going.